Okay, welcome everyone to this second session on boundaries. I'll recap some things I did this morning because I think some of you are probably in Canada or the US or somewhere like that and probably sound asleep this morning. I did find my slides as well, excitement, so we can have some pretty pictures. All right, so Irish immigrant family, now live in Slovenia, mostly grew up in the UK. My background was martial arts, that's where I learned boundaries, also working in outdoor education with kids. Lots of work in areas of conflict, various war zones around the world. I set up a charity in Ukraine doing trauma work, so we do that work. It's very intense. We just had an intensive with some of the trainers here. Mostly what we do though is train coaches. So we train coaches. We have a course called Certificate Embodiment Coaching in September. We also have one Embody Toolkit, which is I just wrote a book on, which is some of the poses I'm going to take you through. I've done corporate work for about in the embodiment world as well for a long time, and I've trained in about 50 countries. Introducing yourself is, however, cringe, as the kids say, particularly if you're English. So I'm going to move on quickly from that. Okay, that's your life without boundaries. The costs of not having boundaries, right? I'd say health is one, your own happiness. I mean, just from a work point of view, just, doing what you do, being productive, a bit more deeper than that, being on purpose. Relationships, if you don't have good boundaries, you will have terrible relationships. People think that having bad boundaries is being kind. It's not. It's the opposite. It's a form of violence. I know this is for those of you who are like, I'm too nice. No, you're not. You're just a different kind of asshole than the other people. Yeah. So it's really important that we reframe this. You'll resent people. Yeah. If you let someone abuse you, that's almost like abusing yourself. Not quite as bad morally, but it's not far off. Assuming they're not just like, jumping and hitting you with a stick out of the, dark alley or something, right? Assuming you're involved in some way. Can you be intimate with someone with really bad boundaries? I would say no, right? If we're really going to connect, we need to be authentic. So there's a few costs to bad boundaries. And I was saying this morning, it's not really your fault. We're all conditioned, right? Mum wants to get you out of the house, or dad, she's like, put your shoes on, don't tell me no, right? Like the school teachers just doing what they do, certain cultures. Some of you maybe had trauma around this. And of course you have bad boundaries because your boundaries were crossed and violated. You stopped feeling your boundaries. It's actually almost a definition of trauma. One of the ways I know people have trauma is they're either over or under defending boundaries. I used to work with kids in various areas of the world, like the slums of Brazil, where there's a lot of trauma for kids. And if I tapped a kid on the shoulder, I'd know if they had trauma because they would either over defend their boundary, they'd get aggressive, or they would be totally passive. And the normal response is just to orientate, right? Someone touches you on the shoulder, you just go, oh, hi. Yeah. So the over or under defending of boundaries. Just out of interest, who thinks they may under defend boundaries? Who's a bit too nice, though it's really just another way of manipulating people to stay safe? So put your shy little hands up. It would really make me happy if you did, and you'd be a good boy or girl, and everyone will love you. And if you don't, you'll be a very see how easily you can push them around. And who's over defending boundaries? Who's like, I'm not going to listen to this guy. What does he know? Anyone got that boundary problem? Just me? I just met someone in the park that had that issue. I said, oh, I'm teaching a workshop on boundaries, and I think, Slovenians don't have great boundaries, just like British people. And she went, you can't generalize. And I went, that's literally the basis of all knowledge. I mean, and, obviously we've got to be careful with generalizations, but like we can't make a statement of truth unless we generalize, right? Like water is wet is a generalization, right? Water can be ice. Yeah. She looked at me very confused. She was really wanting a fight, she was ready to go. Anyone got friends like that? It's just a different type of boundary issue. Yeah. Why do you have bad boundaries? Why do you think? There are reasons we're like this, right? Maybe it's culture. We're talking about British culture, Japanese culture. I was talking about Indian employees today who struggle to say no. These are real things, right? These are real things. But it doesn't really get us anywhere to keep blaming the past, does it? So this is the statement I tell people. The first bit they like. The first bit's like Gabor Mate, right? It's not your fault, right? The second bit's like Jordan Peterson. Tidy your room, right? It's like it is. It's not a very good impression, but they're both right. They're both right. They can both be right. Yeah. Half of this is liberal, half of it's conservative. They're both right. It's not like half the world is dumb. So can we all sign up for this? You're a grown person. It is now your responsibility. It's not enough to say it was my mom or it was society. It's just boring to blame your mum forever, isn't it? Maybe we need to forgive her. Maybe we need to forgive society. All right. And we don't all live in equal cultures, conditions. We can be sympathetic to that. Okay, some key insights that will help with boundaries, and we're going to get to some embodiment techniques in a bit. So you have a right to your own boundaries, right? What's a boundary? Anything that involves your body, your time, your energy. Don't misuse the term. Don't be like, Helen, it's my boundary that you have to bring me chocolate biscuits. No, that's about Helen. Helen's time is her business. I can ask her for chocolate biscuits, but it's not a boundary. Yeah, so let's be a little bit careful with extending this idea too far. You need to really get that. How would you be sitting in your chair right now? Right fucking now. Let's not wait to be enlightened. How would you be sitting right now if you knew you had a right to your body? No one could come and stick their finger in your ear without asking. Okay, to your time, no one could leave you 5-minute voice messages on WhatsApp. Who are these psychopaths? Okay, no one could steal your energy. How would you be sitting right now if like you had a right to your life? Like, let's not wait. Let's not wait for you. Don't have the money for the therapy it would take. All right. So, right now, how would you be sitting? How would you be breathing? Some of you shifted, huh? Okay, let's do the opposite. Let's imagine you were the ultimate victim. Okay, let's sit like we were the ultimate victim. And anyone, like if I was a criminal, I'd be like, ha ha ha, there's lunch when I saw you. Criminals are good at spotting people like this. Narcissists love people like this. They spot you across the room. Show me like the most unboundaried, easy to get what I want from you kind of person. Show me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Talking doesn't work or all Irish people would be enlightened. Okay, now sit up straight again. Take a breath. Find that appropriately boundary. We don't have to overdo it. We don't have to be like, no, I have a right over me. You know, sometimes people get that way. Don't they? Yeah, it's part of the journey for some people. Okay, you just did it. That's all I have to teach you, all right? You know this stuff already. Okay, so you're always saying no to something. Like right now, what are you saying no to? Everything that's not listening to my silly jokes. Okay, that's what you're saying no to right now. Yeah. So we're all, once you understand that you can't do more than one thing. Yeah. I mean, okay, other than maybe this. Yeah. Do you want your yes to have meaning? That's another key insight. You want your yes to be a full yes. You know, they have this saying in British law called enthusiastic consent. So in British law, if you're going to have sex with someone, you need enthusiastic consent. I love whoever wrote that into the law book. That is the exact wording. It has to be a hell yeah. It has to be like, damn yeah. Okay. So are you really giving enthusiastic consent to your life? Does your yes mean something because you have a clear no? For me, that's, when I say yes to something, it means something because I've got a good no. True, Helen? I know how to say no. I don't do what I don't want to do I, Helen? Is that fair?
No, you definitely do not.
You can't get me to do anything. You can't bribe me. You can't threaten me. You can't manipulate me. I'm just like, nope. I've got too much important shit to do. That's an insight, actually. Priorities matter here. Knowing what your life purposes helps. Here's one, and this is going to be bad news. Saying yes to everyone won't make them love you. What? Who's been living under the illusion if they just say yes to everyone, then everyone will love you? And again, this might not be your fault. It might be your safety strategy, right? Maybe you learn it through cultural trauma. Gender's a factor here. I think Helen would agree. Yeah. Yeah. How would that be right now to let go? Just take it on your shoulders. Let go of everyone loving you. Okay. It's literally impossible. I don't love any of you except for Jody. Okay. I don't love any of you. Right? Like, I don't know you. I mean, Caroline is pretty nice. I met her the other day too. But no, Greta, I do love. Okay. All right. With a few exceptions. All right. You can't make everyone love you. Just doesn't work, does it? Should we just have a little funeral for that? Should we just bury that in the ground? I know it's like, yeah, but I know, Mark, but if I just no. It's literally impossible. It's literally impossible. Yeah? I said to my girlfriend, I said, you're not pizza, not everyone loves you. She said, but I am Italian and we invented pizza. I was like, okay, that's close. That's close. Even if you're Italian. Even if you're Italian. Yeah? That's why the Italians never apologized after World War II. The Germans were like, "We are sorry," and everyone's like, "You should be." And the Italians went, "We are not sorry, but here's some pizza." And everyone went, "I want to hate you, but I can't. I have to love you." You're not Italian. Some of you are, but that's just a little low level Italian fun. All right. Is it a type of manipulation? This whole like being a people pleaser? I think it can be, not for everyone. It can be kind of, and again, it could be a way of staying safe, could be a cultural thing. Let's not blame ourselves. I think acknowledging that you're trying to get people to do what you want, more like codependent than narcissist, right? If we were to clinicize this, but we're not really looking at it clinically today. Anyone feel like they need to confess that to pass the mark? Just let me get my Catholic country. Say, yes, Mark, I manipulate people by being nice to them. True. Not for everyone, but for a lot. Okay, some key insights. Starts with awareness, right? Starts with awareness. How do you know that you have bad boundaries? Your body will tell you. We looked at this morning. Your body will tell you. Often it will literally create a boundary. Sometimes it'll be a turn away. Sometimes it'll be a tightening. Yeah, sometimes it'll be a freezing, a shut down. The more embodied practice you do, the better you get at noticing that. The better you get at noticing that. Sometimes you notice it afterwards. The wages of poor boundaries normally are exhaustion and resentment. Like, oh, I should have said no to that thing that I said yes to, and now I hate them, and they didn't even know why I hate them because they thought I was happily signing up to it. Yeah? Not really fair, is it? It's not very nice. Do you see how it actually causes problems in relationship? You say yes to something when you don't want to, you then resent them for it, you then punish them for it, and they're going, but you said you wanted to go see Terminator 2 again and not the chick flick you wanted me to see. Like, and they're confused, right? They're confused because you're so good at pretending that you were saying yes when you were really saying no. So this is a skill set. Now we're looking at it not from a moral lens. You are not bad people because of this. Some of you are bad people, but not because of this. Okay? You're not a bad person. You're not sick and weird and broken. It's super common. The bad news is you're not special. Can we all agree we're not that special? Yeah, like there's like 100 people on this call. 99, one left. They probably got offended. Yeah, okay. It's like we're not that special. This is like I wrote a whole book on this for a reason. Some of it does come down to self-esteem. Like really getting this is important. And this can take a while if we've had, people who are mean to us, if we've had bad childhoods. We're all screwed up, me included. Here's what I'd recommend for self-esteem is don't do that affirmation stuff, like Californian parenting. You're amazing. No, you're probably pretty average, but you're trying. So how about noticing when you act in accordance with your values? This is also about taking in appreciation, which is a skill. This can take a little bit of practice for some. Yeah, for some of my mentees, I really tell them I'm proud of them and, really let them know and get them to take a pause so it lands. We all breathing? Everyone's still doing okay? No one's hating me or yourself? Yeah, hate doesn't work. If hating me worked, I'd get you to hate me. If hating yourself worked, this is something the Buddha said. Buddha said if hate worked, I would teach you that. But it doesn't. I've never hated anyone better. A couple people are having problems hearing. Is that because the microphone? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Thumbs up, you hear me? Okay, seems like most people. Maybe headphones if you can't hear me. If you can't hear me, I have a beautiful British accent. I sound sort of like an English Harrison Ford. Okay, you're missing out. Okay, that's how I sound in my head. In reality, not so much. Good. What are your bad habits around saying no? Let's bring some awareness to our bad habits. Not to like be mean to ourselves, but to say like, hey, like let's notice that. What do you do instead of saying no? Any bad habits, things you tend to do? Yeah, like having to make an excuse, like over justifying, that's like top of my list, or apologizing. The other top. Sorry, Helen, I'm terribly sorry. I know you wanted me to tickle your feet, but I actually have a foot phobia. I'm terribly sorry, and I got the foot phobia when I was young, and I'm not sure how clean your feet are, and I'm terribly sorry. I apologize. See how I'm like overly apologizing, and I'm not like a big like you can't. I'm not saying you can't say. You can say sorry and no. Yeah, just clear. Okay, you don't have to overly apologize. No is a complete sentence, so it's not necessary. I'd say, depending on civility, cultural norms, it's not the end of the world, but not over apologizing. The embodiment's really important. Blaming others. They shouldn't have asked me. Yeah. I've got a Ukrainian friend. I won't say her name. And sometimes I offer her things. I'll be like, do you want some coffee? She'll be like, no. And I'll be like, oh, okay. Okay, it's not poison, like a little over boundary around that. Yeah. Cut off relationship. Yeah, a really common one is just ghosting. Anyone heard of ghosting? Okay, anyone young and dating? I was looking at my students' Tinder pictures yesterday, telling her she looked like a psycho and to change them. So it's part of the service when with my students, part of the service. Okay, and me and my girlfriend were pimping her Tinder profile. Yeah, but ghosting, unfortunately, is really common, right? It's just people can't do boundaries, so they ghost each other. Slow down. Thank you, Nancy. I'm getting excited teaching this. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, so bad habits around though. Here are some bad habits. Some people say yes and then just flake. You know this word flake? They say yes and then just don't show up, or they cancel at the last minute. It ruins your relationships because it makes you unreliable. Not being clear. Simple one. Justifying over explaining. Avoidance. Guilt is a habit. Okay, guilt is a habit. I'm going to look at guilt maybe today, maybe tomorrow, about how to get rid of guilt around saying no. Who here would love no guilt around saying no ever again? I hereby take it away with my magic powers. There you go. It's like the anti-Catholic technique. No, shouldn't be mean to the Catholics. I love Catholics. Catholic Irish family. So yeah, we're going to look at that. That's something you can work with. It's basically a habit. Things that are not no. Eliminate maybe from your life. Don't say maybe when you mean no, because it gives people false hope, right? There was this girl in the gym I really liked. This was like 15 years ago. And before I was married, actually, it was a long time ago. And I walked up to her and I'd been in the gym and I was leaving the gym for another gym. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot. I don't really like talking to girls in the gym. It's, not the best place. I didn't want to harass her. But I thought, I'm leaving soon. And I just want to tell her she looks great. See if maybe she want my phone number. And I walked up to her and said, look, I'm terribly sorry to bother you. I've seen you in the gym a lot of times. She said, oh, yeah, I've seen you around. I said, I just want to say you look beautiful. And, are you single? And she looked at me and she touched my face and she said, what's your name? I said, Mark. She said, Mark, I am such a lesbian. I will never go on a date with you. And I was like, oh, okay. She said, but I've got a friend who might. I was like, whoa, okay. And it was so clear. It was so clear. And sometimes I know people do that, to avoid creepy men and to lie, right? In this case, though, I'm pretty sure I was like, oh, yeah, now I see. My gaydar was down that day. And it was so clear. And it was such a gift. It was such a gift to get such a clear no. Yeah. So get rid of the maybes. Of course, I know sometimes it's for safety. We're not talking about that, but wherever possible. Yeah. Later. So what do you tell kids, right? Don't say that. Yeah. Or people say, I can't do it. It's like, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. People know you can. Don't lie to them. Don't say, oh, I can't. It's like, yeah, you can. Yeah. It's not about can't. This is uncomfortable. This is uncomfortable. I prefer not to, someone said to me today. I'm like, yeah, I prefer not to pay tax, but shit happens. Yeah. Yeah. I don't like something. This is not no. Notice how many times you do this. Have you got any classics from you? Any classics like these? Things that aren't actually no. It doesn't have to really. It can be no, thank you. I will never in a million years do that. I use humor quite a lot in my note. I'd rather poke my own eyes out with a badger than do that. But thank you for inviting me to a nightclub. I hate nightclubs deeply with all my heart. They're so loud. But I'm really glad you invited me. Thanks for thinking of me. I will never go. So, there's ways to do it. Okay, that's enough, right? Help us. Come on, Mark. Enough. So this is what I discussed this morning. Never, ever say yes to anything without a pause. If you know you have a default embodied yes, take a pause. This could be a minute, could be like, give me a minute to think about it. Yeah, could be a day, could be a week, a pause. And it's not bullshit if you say to people, I will text you by 5 p.m. All right, I will email you by the end of the day. If you tell people that, they're often really chill with it because they know that you're planning to actually respond. You can respond in a way that's less triggering, like email or text. Often people just need a bit of time to feel their bodies, to not regret things. Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds like crazy simple, but this will change your life. If you're someone who struggles with saying that, this alone will definitely change your life. Yeah. Who needs that? Who needs the pause? You did practice the pause today? Good. All right. All right, look at the time. Okay. So let's continue. Embodiment helps, right? Lots of sessions on YouTube and Instagram of me doing no coaching with people. You can look those up. Maybe someone share my socials online now so people can click on all those sessions and see me doing it with people. We've got podcasts. Oh, there's a no pose. That's the Bali fuck you warrior. Good no poses. If the word was enough, we could all say it, but we need to work on the embodiment of no. Okay, like so right now in your body, how would that be if you had a bit more no in your system? Bit more straight, bit more. Try just pushing, like push on a wall nearby. We have a full no pose from Toolkit, one of the teachers. Yeah, find that little push away. Sometimes we do this with a chaturanga, for example, or a push up. Push on the table if you've got one near, push on the floor with your feet, and then sit normally, but feeling that energy, that embodiment of no. And then say the word no out loud in your first language. Say the word no out loud. Yeah. And then just for contrast, open your pose up. So open your arms up to the side, do like a yes pose, and say yes in your first language. So you're really opening up. Soften your jaw, soften your eyes. Say yes. And notice if that's more comfortable, more familiar. Probably is for some of you. Okay, now do the opposite of that. Go back to no. Find that push away. I won't demonstrate the pose today because I've got a small room I'm in. Even that little bit, like a little push. Imagine you're pushing on my hand. Even just imagining, like I'm pushing towards the camera, right? Just imagining a little bit of resistance, a tricep kicking in. And then what do you need to say no to in your life? See if we can find that wisdom in the body. Thank you, Helen, for demonstrating. You need to feel your own response and embody a clear no. This is the embodied skills you need to learn. It does take a little bit of practice and encouragement. So Helen and I tend to do 8-week groups with people, not just 3 days. It's not just because we're selling you stuff. It's also because it just takes a bit of time and encouragement to practice. Yeah. Most embodied skills around this are actually stress management. So mostly what happens is because you have a certain conditioning, maybe traumatic, maybe cultural, is that it's stressful for you to say no. As a result, you say yes to relieve the stress. If you can relieve the stress by simply relaxing your jaw, relaxing your eyes, relaxing your belly, that will help. You know what? I want to do this before we finish. No is loving. That's the reframe. It's more loving to say no. It builds better relationships. It's more honest. It's more ethical. It's a loving act to say no. Okay, this is the big reframe for yourself. It's self-love to say no. Give yourself a hug. Let's do a quick self-care pose before we get into our no. A little bit of a hug. Imagine you're hugging a friend. How would you hug someone who is worth taking care of, worth defending? If that's not you, just imagine someone else. And now let's put one hand on the heart and one hand out front like we're saying no. So one hand on the heart and one hand out front and say no because I love me. No because I love me. No because I love you, right? Sometimes we say no to our kids, right? Loving no. No, you can't stay up all night. No, because I love you. No, because I love me. Yeah. No, because I love us. I want this to be a good relationship where no one's abused. Try it a few times. You need to recondition yourself, right? It's not enough just to tell yourself no is loving. You need to train it through the body. One hand on the heart, one hand in boundaries. No because of love. One more time. Let me see you do it. That was 2 very brief of our 26 poses we use in our system. We'll do a few more of them on the other sessions. But how was that? Obviously, very brief experience today. How was that? No as loving. The reason people don't say no is not because they don't know the word. It's because they don't have the embodiment and they don't somatically in their bones understand that no can be loving. There's a load of ways we reframe it cognitively. This is a key thing to keep brainwashing yourself, to remind yourself. Yeah. But to actually do it through the body. And you sometimes need support, right? You need a coach who says, hey, you can do this, you've got this. A coach who actually pushes on your hand if you're coaching in real life. Yeah. A coach who encourages you. Practice in the little ways. This is my response. Practice in the body. You could do like one push up with no every day, or one chaturanga, or one bench press if you like to go to the gym like me. Yeah. You can do one of those every day, 5 if you want. Keep it simple, 1 minute of practice. And then practice saying no where it doesn't matter. I gave the example this morning of when I go for Indian food, they always try and sell me naan bread. Delicious, garlicky, fluffy white naan bread that's really bad for me. Okay, it makes me super sleepy and it's not good for me, but it's so delicious. And they try and push it on me like drug dealers, and I'm powerless. No, for me, that's like a medium level. No, for you, that might be upselling at the Starbucks. You know, do you want to go large or do you want this? Look for those little examples. Your mother, your family is not the little example. They're the advanced level. Yeah. The loving no. And you can, if you can distinguish between an aggressive no and a loving no, this really helps. Do you want to do one more little somatic example before we do Q&A? Can I squeeze one more in? Am I overgiving again, Helen? I've been told, so don't overgive. You need to sell them something.
Just too nice, Mark. Just too nice.
Okay, let's find our inner not too niceness. Take your hand like this. We're going to do an ancient mantra, okay? And just put one finger down on the left, ancient Tibetan thing. One finger down there, and another finger, and another finger. Okay. And who do you need to tell to get the fuck out of your life? That is the question I have for you. With love, because it's from love, from yourself, out of your life. Maybe there's someone that you can't keep in your life. Sometimes that's the case. All right, I'm going to do more work tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to look at a few things. So these are some of the other toolkit poses. Come and train with us if you want to know more of them. There's lots of other ways of doing no that we work with pads and karate and coaching and all sorts of ways we work. That's me with Big Tommy. Big Tommy's lovely. Good. We're going to look at that. We're also going to look at some linguistic things. We're going to look at guilt, how to work with guilt. Going to look at being over boundaried and the issues around that. We're going to play a game called You're the Worst Person in the World. That's a lot of fun. Going to do some more stress management tools. What else? Some reminders. We're going to talk about role models for know who you're going to copy. Some good reminders. Linguistic things. We're also going to look at the linguistics. This is important too. Free resources online. We have a book. That's not free actually, but it's cheap. YouTube, podcasts, Instagram, all the things. Helen runs a Facebook group. But we have two courses, one for coaches and one for non-coaches. The non-coaches one is me and Helen. We do a little membership. We're doing Helen, you're teaching neuroscience, right? For the next 8 weeks. And I'm assisting you for the next 8 weeks, right?
That's right. On embodied flourishing. Yes, yes. We're looking at the neuroscience of regulation and embodiment around that in the embodied flourishing membership. We'll be able to share more about that later this week.
Dr. Helen. She's too humble to put it on her name. Dr. Helen will be doing neuroscience and I do the boundaries part. So, yeah. And then the other one is the toolkit. So it's some of these poses and we take more for professionals, coaches, those kind of people. So they're the two things that we're offering. Good. You still with me? I don't make a lot of jokes, but I'm also aware this can be quite a delicate topic and we touch on some things. So maybe give yourself one more little self-care pose, a little hug, a little stroke like this if you prefer. Breathing out. One more time, one deep breath. Take what was useful, leave the rest.